In the summer of 626 CE, within the walls of the Tang imperial palace in Chang'an, a single morning would determine the fate of an empire. The Xuanwu Gate Incident, a brutal confrontation between brothers that would echo through Chinese history for over a millennium. This is Chang'an, the most magnificent city in the world during the early 7th century. Home to over 1 million people, it was the beating heart of the Tang dynasty, founded just 9 years earlier by Emperor Gaozu, formerly known as Li Yun. The Tang dynasty emerged from the chaos of the Sui dynasty's collapse. Li Yun, who would become Emperor Gaozu, was a military governor who seized power with the help of his sons. But success in war doesn't guarantee peace in the palace. Li Yun had 4 sons who survived to adulthood, but 3 would dominate the political landscape: Li Jiancheng, the crown prince; Li Shimin, the brilliant military strategist; and Li Yongji, the youngest and most ambitious. Li Jiancheng, as the eldest, held the traditional right of succession. Conservative and methodical, he represented stability and Confucian values. But it was his younger brother, Li Shimin, who had proven himself the architect of Tang military victories. Li Shimin was a military genius. At the Battle of Hulao Pass, he personally led cavalry charges that broke enemy lines. His victories against the Sui remnants, against Wang Shichong, against Dou Jiande, these weren't just wins, they were masterpieces of strategy. By 625, tensions between the brothers had reached a breaking point. Li Shimin commanded the loyalty of the military, while Li Jiancheng controlled the civilian administration. Li Yongji played both sides, seeking his own advantage. The historical records, particularly the comprehensive Mirror and Aid of Governance, describe a climate of paranoia. Both brothers were recruiting supporters, making alliances, preparing for what seemed inevitable. Li Jiancheng and Li Yongji formed an alliance against Li Shimin. They accused him of harboring imperial ambitions, an accusation that, according to surviving records, may not have been unfounded. The crown prince and Li Yongji allegedly plotted to eliminate Li Shimin during a hunting expedition. When their father, Emperor Gaozu, planned to send Li Shimin to campaign against the Turks, Li Shimin's supporters saw it as a trap, a way to remove him from the capital permanently. What we see in the Tang histories is a classic succession crisis. In Chinese political theory, the mandate of heaven could pass to the most capable, not necessarily the eldest. Li Shimin's supporters believed he had proven his worthiness through military success. July 2, 626 CE, Li Shimin made his move. He positioned his most trusted generals and soldiers near the Xuanwu Gate, the northern entrance to the imperial palace that controlled access to the emperor's quarters. Li Shimin had requested an urgent audience with his father to reveal his brother's alleged plot against him. When Li Jiancheng and Li Yongji arrived at the palace that morning, they were walking into a trap. The Old Book of Tang records that Li Shimin personally shot and killed Li Jiancheng with an arrow. The violence was swift and decisive. Li Yongji attempted to flee but was caught and killed by Li Shimin's general, Yu Qigong. Within hours, Li Shimin's forces had secured the palace. When Emperor Gaozu learned of his sons' deaths, he was presented with a fait accompli. His surviving son controlled the military, the palace, and effectively, the empire. Li Shimin's victory came at a terrible cost. According to historical records, he ordered the execution of Li Jiancheng's and Li Yongji's sons, his own nephews, to eliminate future threats to his rule. This action violated fundamental Confucian principles of family loyalty and proper conduct. Li Shimin would spend much of his reign attempting to justify these actions and demonstrate his moral worthiness to rule. 2 months later, Emperor Gaozu abdicated, passing the throne to Li Shimin, who took the imperial name Emperor Taizong. The man who had seized power through bloodshed would become one of China's greatest rulers. Emperor Taizong ruled for 23 years, presiding over what historians call the Reign of Jingguan, an era of prosperity, cultural flowering, and territorial expansion that established the Tang dynasty as one of history's greatest. The paradox of Taizong is profound. He committed what was essentially fratricide to gain power, yet his reign became a model for ideal governance. Chinese historians have struggled with this contradiction for centuries. Taizong himself seemed haunted by the events at Xuanwu Gate. He commissioned detailed histories of his reign but insisted on controlling their content, particularly regarding the succession crisis. The emperor personally revised the historical records multiple times. We know this because later historians noted the discrepancies. He was trying to shape how history would remember him not just as a usurper, but as a rightful ruler blessed by heaven. The Xuanwu Gate Incident raises timeless questions about power, legitimacy, and moral leadership. Can violent means be justified by virtuous ends? Does capability matter more than birthright? In many ways, Li Shimin's story is universal. Throughout history, we see leaders who achieve great things through morally questionable means. The Tang histories preserve this moral complexity rather than resolving it. Today, visitors to Xi'an can walk where the ancient Xuanwu Gate once stood. The physical structure is gone, but the questions it represents endure. In Chinese political thought, the Xuanwu Gate Incident remains a cautionary tale about the price of power and the complexity of historical judgment. On that summer morning in 626, Li Shimin chose ambition over family, capability over tradition, and pragmatism over principle. History would vindicate his choice, but the blood spilled at Xuanwu Gate would forever stain his legacy.
Thanks for watching.